Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Florida Justice Association's Modern Trial Lawyer Website Must-Haves and Advanced Attorney SEO, presented by Sean Grant with Accelerate Now. Before we begin, there are a few housekeeping items to cover. Your lines are all in listen-only mode, which means you're on mute to get the best audio because we are recording this. If you have any questions, you can type your questions in the queue on your computer screen, and we will get to those at the end of the program. But you can go ahead and type in your questions whenever you have them, just so that you don't forget. So I'm going to turn this over to Sean Grant. Here you go.
Thanks, Lee. As Lee said, my name is Sean Grant. I'm the senior consultant at Accelerate Now, which is a law firm marketing company. We basically help trial lawyers across the country perform better online. And I'm honored to be spending time with you today. I know if you're on this call and you're an active member of the FJA, that you're probably one of the top trial lawyers in the state of Florida, and we want to help you in any way we can. So one of the ways that we're going to do that this year is with our educational series. We have a number of webinars designed to help you gain competitive advantages or learn what you need to know in order to gain those competitive advantages online in your neighborhood. So today I have with me Betsy Hurd, and Betsy's a successful trial lawyer in Tampa, Florida, and she's done a tremendous job creating, a modern website with a lot of educational practice area content, which we're going to cover a lot of. We're going to cover that a lot today. So today we have planned for you. We're going to talk about what your website should have if you want it to be a modern trial lawyer website. We're going to talk about advanced SEO and content marketing. We're going to talk a lot about video. We're actually going to show you how to create some videos, how to determine what the best topics are, what video equipment you need, and how to do a video shoot. We're going to cover all that today. In some subsequent courses, we're going to actually teach you how to run the video shoots and do video editing and how to publish your content online and so on. We're also going to talk to you about how to create definitive guide eBooks and blog posts and why those are important, and email nurturing. We're going to talk about mobile apps and live chat and how to track your website better online. So we have a full hour. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me or Betsy, okay? If you want a copy of the slide deck, or you want, we're going to go over some video question lists of some questions that we know people are typing into, say, Google, when they have a serious injury that they're dealing with, like a motorcycle accident injury. And if you want access to those video lists, just send us a quick email. If you want the video equipment list, again, email or call, as well as if you have any questions at all. All right, so what I want to start out with is a major Google update that I think is critically important to all trial lawyers. And it's important that you understand this because it basically tells you what Google thinks is important if you want to get more love from Google now and into the future. So I'm going to read their statement, because as they come out with these major updates, they release them with a statement. So each day Google usually releases one or more changes designed to improve our results. Some are focused around specific improvements, some are broad changes. Last week we released a broad core algorithm update. We do these several times per year. So as with any update, some sites may note drops or gains. There's nothing wrong with pages that may now perform less well. Instead, it's that changes to our system are benefiting pages that were previously under-rewarded. And I will just say this, we are monitoring trial lawyer websites across the country, and what we've seen is websites that are focused on educational content, practice area content, which we're going to talk about today, have seen dramatic increases in the amount of love that they're getting from Google. But Google's last take on it is there's no fix for pages that may perform less well other than to remain focused on building great content. And that is, as I said, critically important. So you probably heard that a lot, but what is great web content when it comes to trial lawyer websites, right? So great content is content, in our opinion, that teaches people something about their specific legal issue, right? So if they're seriously injured in a motorcycle wreck, they have a lot of questions related to what to do and what not to do in order to protect their rights and maintain or get the best possible result for their case. They're really scared. And again, they really don't have the first clue about how to manage that legal issue. So what you want to do is you want to create educational practice area pages, practice area educational videos, which we'll look at, definitive guide blog posts and downloadable eBooks, and educational video series which can be delivered with email nurturing. And we're going to cover all of these things today. But before we do, let's just talk a little bit about some of the benefits of a content-centric or an educational content-centric approach. So these are the benefits. It's a great way for you to demonstrate your legal expertise in the community, and it'll help you build your brand in your local legal community. It's also a great way to introduce potential clients to your legal practice. So essentially, people are searching for answers online. They find your content, which answers those questions, and then they find your legal practice, which is really good for you. You'll also have much more educated clients that are prepared for their appointments, right? So you can give them a series of emails prior to even making it into your office that begins the education process on what they should be doing or what's important for them to be thinking about. Things like, for example, making sure they get immediate medical attention, making sure that they maintain their medical attention, or they do what their doctors prescribe, making sure that they seek a personal injury attorney or a medical malpractice attorney as soon as possible, so that attorney can help guide them through the process. And again, teaching them different things like how to choose the best personal injury attorney for their case. And we're going to go over all the questions that folks have when they initially have these types of issues, but we'll cover that a little bit later when we're looking at how to develop the content and choose the topics. High level though, for long-term strategy, this is exactly what Google wants. So if you do create educational content for your legal practice in the form of videos and blog posts and eBooks, and you use email nurturing, you're going to be doing it exactly the way that Google wants, and they're going to give you more love. So that's going to mean more success for your legal practice online today and long term into the future. All right. So from a high level, just so we set a benchmark. So search engine optimization and content marketing, right? So basically, the best strategy is to align your firm's website with what Google is asking for, right? Which is what we're kind of what we started out with as far as like their last major Google update. So Google wants your website again to provide valuable information. The worst thing you could do is have a website that is kind of like a business card type approach with very limited information that maybe lists all the practice areas that you support, but no real information that could be used by your users, right? So if you want to, again, to have more success online, you want to focus on providing educational practice area content, which may seem difficult, but we're going to walk through it so you understand it, and you'll understand just how easy it is to create this content. All right, so let's talk about some modern trial lawyer website must-haves, right? First and foremost, your website needs to be fast, right? So you want to make sure that it's built and designed for speed, and it's also hosted in a fast web hosting environment. You want, like we've talked about, you want your website to be content rich. So you want to have, comprehensive practice area pages. So that would mean like you want to have practice area pages for motorcycle crashes, one for bus accidents, one for car crashes, truck accidents, slip and fall, if you support that, dog bites, and so on. All the major practice areas that you support, you'd want to have a comprehensive practice area page as a starting off point. Then what you want to do is you want to create video content that answers a lot of the questions that folks have when they're involved, for example, in a motorcycle crash, right? How long is my case going to take to resolve? Is my case going to go to trial? How do I pick the best motorcycle accident attorney in my area? The list goes on and on. We're going to go over some good starting off lists that you can have as a kind of a way for you to warm your brain up to the questions. But like if you want exact question lists, you can just send us an email and we'll send them to you. But once you have those videos, you want to create definitive guide ebooks and guides, which are downloadable. The definitive guide blog posts are available on your website, and they rank extremely well. on all the major search engines. And then you want to have email nurturing. And email nurturing is the ability of someone to submit their first name and their email to get the educational resources stripped out to them over time, right? So each day we might send them another nugget of information, and we drive them back to your website with the email nurturing, and that drives your metrics up. So Google can tell that you have a high quality website, but it's critically important and it's not hard to set up. You also want your website to be mobile optimized, right? So this is critically important because I think, honestly, we're seeing more web traffic than we are from mobile than we are from desktops, right? So your website needs to be aesthetically pleasing, but it's got to be optimized for mobile and optimized for speed on mobile. The other thing is you need to have sound technical search engine optimization on page, which we're going to go over a little bit later. You also want to have a live chat feature, which we'll talk about later. Live chat is nothing more than someone monitoring your website. You want to use a service, by the way, not a software application that's automated, because people can tell that. You want to use a service that monitors your website 24 hours a day. When someone goes to your website, they say, "Hi, how are you doing?" And you know, they want to get to the core, you know, how can we help you, right? So they'll direct people to your educational resources, as well as get some good information for you, right? So you'll understand what their legal issue is, as well as, you know, the live chat service should gather their name, phone number, and email, and let them know that you'll contact them as soon as possible. Having live chat on your website is very inexpensive. Most services are less than $200 a month. And what it'll do is it'll drive your lead up by as much as 20%, right? So it's a super easy feature for you to add with any budget, right? So if you don't have live chat on your website, you should find a service that'll do that for you. You know, and like I said, you could do it for as little as $200 a month. The other thing is you want to generate a lot of online reviews and work them into your website. So you want Google reviews, you want Facebook reviews. Primarily, those are the two keys. And then you also want to get first-party reviews, which we work into the website, and then they come out into the search results, which is important. And we're going to talk about that later. And then, you know, over 50% of your traffic is mobile. Google had, you know, is really high on being mobile optimized. One of the best ways to be mobile optimized is to have mobile apps, right? So a mobile app is nothing more than an application you could download on your smartphone. It takes about 30 seconds. And then you know, someone on your website could download your app and have all of your videos and your eBooks and so on right in the palm of their hands, as well as GPS directions to your office and so on. But it's a real inexpensive feature, again, to help you have a more modern trial lawyer website and help you be more mobile optimized. And then the last and most important part is you want to make sure that you have a good tracking system in place, so you know where all your cases are coming from, right? So in order to do that, you need good analytics and lead tracking. That really, we're going to talk about this in depth a little bit later, but we're talking about dynamic call tracking, right? You want to track all your phone number, all your phone calls, so you know where your cases are coming from. And each phone call should have when we say dynamic, it means a different phone number for every place on the internet. So you get a different phone number from Google or a different phone number from Yahoo and Bing and social media and so on. All those different places on the internet. When your clients originate from those areas, you should be able to track that and know that they came from that specific area. And then obviously you want to have strong web analytics, but you want to track all live chats, all online form submissions, all email nurturing subscribers, and all of your phone calls. And you'll have a really good understanding of where your clients are coming from online. And this is super easy to set up as well. So if you're not tracking your website online, that's probably a good place for you to start. And it doesn't cost a lot to have somebody set up a system like that for you. So you have rock solid information so you can make intelligent decisions on where to spend your dollars when you're talking about investing in your internet marketing program. All right, so when we talk about educational videos, we're not talking about commercials, right? It's not a commercial format. It's more of a nugget of information, right? So we want to educate people because, again, if they get seriously injured and they're dealing with that type of legal case, they have no idea how to handle that, and they're really scared, right? And the best thing you could do would be to create educational video content that answers a lot of their major questions, right? So what should I do right away if I'm seriously injured in a motorcycle accident? How do I select the best attorney? How are motorcycle accident claims different than car accident claims? What are common mistakes people make, right? When people are seriously injured in a motorcycle accident. After a motorcycle crash, is it ever a good idea to talk to the insurance company from the other side? Because they're calling, right? Or I was forced off the road by a driver that didn't make contact. Do I still have a potential claim? How do I determine the value of my motorcycle accident claim, right? How do I know how long it's going to take? Is my case going to go to trial, right? How does lost wage reimbursement work? How does medical expense reimbursement work? And on and on and on. So we're going to go through some of this a little bit later, but I will tell you, I have Betsy Hurd on the line with me, and Betsy's done a tremendous job creating educational content over the years. And I think she's created over 100 educational videos. And we're going to do a little bit of a kind of a role play with you later on in the webinar. But I wanted to just get, maybe Betsy, could you give us a couple words on maybe what you were worried about, or like, what were some of your concerns maybe prior to doing educational content or video content before you ever got started?
Well, for starters, I don't like to see myself. So like that picture up there, that's just really nasty. But I think the main thing I was concerned about was that I would just talk too long or be too much. I wasn't sure how many videos we should have. I wasn't sure how long each video should be. You know, and those are things that I look to Sean to, he's the expert.
Okay, cool. So what do you think about the process or the time involved with regard to creating video content? You think it's time consuming, or were you surprised at how little time it required?
I was very surprised at how little time it took. One of the things that we did was Sean created a list of questions initially, then I went through them. We removed some that seemed complicated. We added some that I thought ought to be addressed. And then actually doing the filming didn't take very long at all. I mean, I think the last session that we did took less than 45 minutes. And we went through like 30, 40 videos.
That's right. So in a question and answer format, it can be extremely quick. Thank you very much, Betsy. So basically, you want to identify the questions you're going to cover, assign the questions to different people, which we'll cover in a little bit more detail. But everybody knows what questions they have. It's a question and answer format. We're going to teach you how to create a good answer from a structure perspective, and talk a little bit about what a good answer is versus not so good answer, and different things a little bit later. But it is super easy. In the question and answer format, the attorney's literally answering questions they've answered hundreds, if not thousands of times before. So it's them answering the question just as they were talking to the client, with a couple of structural changes as far as how to create the answer, which we'll show you later. But once you create the content, by the way, backing up just real quick, so you have a couple different options regarding to video. You could hire a company to come in and do the video shoot for you, right? Make it easy. They'll shoot all the video, and then they'll edit the video and then produce all the content for you. Or you could do it internally. We're going to show you both, right? Both ways. So if you want to do it internally, we're going to teach you what video equipment you need. We're actually going to do another webinar on, it's a little bit of a deeper dive, and we're going to talk about how to do the video editing the right way, and then how to publish all the content yourself if you really want to do that. So it's easy and less time consuming if you hire somebody, obviously, but if you're on a limited budget, we're going to teach you how to do it yourself internally. Okay, so the options all up to you. And in that, in the next webinar, we'll go over what you can expect from a time perspective if you want to do that stuff internally. All right, cool. So once you create the videos, it's time to publish them. So these are the places where we publish our videos online. One, we publish them obviously on YouTube. We publish them on the website. You want to publish them on your website. You publish them in blog posts, and your mobile app is a great place for you to put all of your videos and your video education series, and then social media, Facebook and Google, and your local directories. We're going to talk about if you want to gain more visibility in the Google local pin map section. One of the best ways to do that is to add content. This is a great place for you to put your video content, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. All right, so once you create your video education series, what you really want to do is transcribe the content, right? And then you transcribe, edit, and then you create these definitive guide blog posts and eBooks. It's a very simple process, but basically it's just as I described, right? So shoot the videos, edit the videos, transcribe them. You want to add some other written content, an intro and a conclusion, and then you know, more of a practice area intro into the front of it. But it's easy for you to create these high quality definitive guide blog posts and eBooks with this process. And by the way, they rank extremely well. So one thing we did notice over the last year and a half is, you know, Google has always loved quality content, but what they really love is deep, definitive, or comprehensive content. So if someone lands on a definitive guide, say that 5,000 plus words, that is a really good resource for someone that's dealing with a medical malpractice issue. Google knows that that person's going to be happy because they're going to be able to get a lot of their initial questions answered in that content, right? And they want to send people to the highest quality content available in their area, right? So if you create these definitive guide blog posts and eBooks, they will rank extremely well for you, and you'll get a lot of, you get a lot of love from Google. I will tell you that this practice area ebook on Bestie's website gets is the second most landed on page on the website, right? So it gets about 25% of the landed traffic, the initial landed traffic, right? So it's where they originate from. All right. So once you create your educational series and your definitive guide ebook, you want to set up email nurturing, okay? So email nurturing is, again, when someone submits their email and their first name on your website, let's say they have a medical malpractice issue, they submit that, and then you have an educational video series and an ebook associated with that practice area. So you start dripping out the content, maybe the first email they get right away, and that's the definitive guide ebook. It's not the ebook itself, it's a link to the ebook driving them back to your website for the content. You know, day 2, they get the first video in the education series. Day 3 is the video number 2 in the series, and so on, right? So we're dripping out the content over time, and what's happening is we're driving up our quality metrics with Google, right? So in order for you to understand how to perform better online, you need to understand that Google's looking at your metrics and determining whether or not you have a quality website based on a couple things, right? So one of the things is how long someone stays on your website in terms of time on average. The other thing is how many pages they view when they're on your website per visit. The third thing is, do they come back to your website for additional information, right? And there's some other metrics that are important, but those are the core metrics. And when those metrics are high, right, you get a high quality score. When your quality score exceeds the competition in your neighborhood, you basically dominate, right? So email nurturing helps to set up those metrics. Obviously, you need the high quality content, but once you have that built, you want to make sure that you set up email nurturing. And this could be as simple as, you know, Constant Contact or MailChimp. It's very easy to set up on your website. Okay, so and again, you could use a provider to do this, or you could just do it yourself. If you have a WordPress site and you have any questions about how to set that up, just shoot me an email and I'll talk through that. But essentially, you're just going to send your content out in a preset interval, right? Think about it as a way for you to keep in constant contact with someone that has been on your website and has identified themselves as a potential client, right? It's a way for you to automate those touches with their client too. So you're staying in front of those clients. By the way, your email should also have your mobile apps if you decide to have those. You should include those in your email so people can quickly download that content. But it's a way for you to automate that nurturing process, right? So you're providing education. they're watching your videos, they're getting a sense of what you're all about and how you would handle their specific legal issue, giving them nuggets of information. They're really getting a sense of what you're all about, and you're driving your metrics up. So, I mean, it's something that's critically important for you to have on your website. And it's very easy to set up, but you want to segment it, right? So you don't want to have one program for your website. If you want to have one for medical malpractice, and then for the different practice areas, you'd want to have that as well. Think about it, each major practice area. Okay, so we talked about mobile apps. Again, did somebody have a question? Okay, sorry. All right, so in the mobile apps, you want to house your guides, your video education series. You want it to be easy for people to contact you. And, you know, we also think it's important to build in GPS functionality so that people can find your office easily. But think about it as nothing more than an interactive business card. So it's a way for you, you know, to put all of your information in the palm of your potential customer's hands or your referring attorney's hands, right? So if you have referring attorney partners, there's nothing better than to get them to download your app so that they can refer their potential or your potential future clients to those apps so they can get a little bit more education about not only how to handle their legal issue, but a little bit about how you go about handling that specific type of case. Okay, so we talked about live chat. Again, the live chat window is nothing more than, you know, something that pops up after a few seconds of someone being on the website. And again, this is critically important because what we're seeing is, you know, this really started back 7 years ago, I think, when we first started putting live chat on legal websites. And it was interesting because we got the exact same bump in conversion, conversion meaning lead, right? And then as we went further in time, we tracked it into cases. You get it, you know, back in those days, we were seeing 18%. Right now, we're seeing about a 20% bump in conversions in leads and cases. So critically important. There's a lot of different options out there. You can get a software application where you ask your people to do that, but your people are already overtasked and they don't work 24 hours a day. And what we see is people coming in after hours, right? So you don't want to use that solution where you're asking your paralegals or your assistants to be monitoring your website traffic. Something comes up, they got to answer. That's a bad solution because, you know, they're probably overtaxed as it is. And it's just another thing that you're throwing on them. And again, after hours, you have limited coverage to no coverage. The other option is to use a software application where you put in the answers or questions, preset questions that you think people are going to ask, but then there's a disconnect. It doesn't seem honest when people are trying to interact with your firm. So it gives them a bad impression about your website and your firm. The best solution, again, use a service that'll monitor your website 24 hours a day. Someone comes to your website, hi, how are you doing? How can we help you? You know, they're going to tell you I was seriously injured in a car accident. And the live chat operators will go into gathering their name, phone number, and email so that you can get all that information sent to you. At the end of the live chat session, you should be emailed the transcripts from that session so you can, you know, kind of validate the lead, determine if it's something that you support. For example, if somebody contacts your firm on a family law matter and you don't do family law, you don't want to waste your time contacting that person back, right? It's a good way for you to ferret that out and not waste your time. So you get a really good understanding of the opportunity as well as the contact information. And the person on the other end makes immediate contact with you and your practice, right? Which, you know, that's what people want. They want immediate gratification. So you're giving that to them, again, for a very low cost. And they feel good that your firm has made contact with them. And because they've made contact with you, or you guys have, you know, made contact together, they don't feel as though they need to go back out onto the internet to continue their search. So again, we're seeing a dramatic increase in leads and cases just from adding this one feature. All right, online reviews, critically important, right? So we talked a little bit about them. You want Google reviews, you want Facebook reviews, and you want these first-party reviews, in my opinion, are the most important. And that's these first-party reviews are the ones that get worked into the actual SEO or search engine optimization listings, right? And when people see these stars worked into your listings, that's when the magic happens, right? Because your eye is immediately drawn to these listings, so you get more traffic, and because of that, you're getting a higher click-through rate, and again, that's going to help you drive your SEO or search engine optimization rankings up, because that's a major factor in SEO. But the way that you do that is you help you create a web page basically that sits behind the navigation on the website, right? And there's a couple of ways to approach this. So once this is created, you got to ask your best clients, right, if they'll give you a review. And what we like to think is important is that you set up the review with 3 questions. There's 2 benefits to this, right? The first benefit from your customer perspective, if they love you, is that they're not going to know, they're going to want to rate you a nice review, but they're not going to know how. So you want to make it easy for them. So you say, look, if you go to this, first of all, I'd love to have you as a client. I'm really happy with the result we got you. Are you happy, right? They're obviously going to be happy. You say, look, we're trying to enhance our online presence. One of the ways that we're doing that this year is with online reviews. And would you do me a favor and leave us an anonymous online review? And they're going to say yes, of course. Say, great. So we create a website, and if you answer these 3 questions, it makes writing the review take seconds. So it's super easy. The other benefit, so from their perspective, they get structure, and they're able to write the review quickly, right? And you would lead them right over these first-party reviews. These are the ones that everybody's missing out on. So a lot of people have Google reviews and Facebook reviews. You want them to get these first-party reviews for you, and again, so that you can work them into your schema, which basically brings them into these search results. But the questions are, prior to coming in to our office for the very first time, what were your main concerns, right? That's question number 1. And what this does too, by the way, if they are, for example, injured in a truck accident and they had a concern, whatever their concern was or related to their truck accident, other people that have truck accidents are going to have those same concerns. So it ties the review or this past client into your future prospective client, right? But the second question is, how did you feel about our legal services? And then the third question is, obviously, would you recommend our legal practice to others, family members and friends and others? So when they answer those 3 questions, you get the highest quality review, and they get to write a review in seconds. But this is critically important. I think a lot of trial law firms are missing out on this today. And if this isn't a core strategy for you online, this is something that you could easily fix. And again, it's another low-cost solution that gets pretty rapid results, right? You just need a little bit of structure. The other thing you could do, by the way, is buy an iPad that has its own internet connection, its own mobile cellular connection, doesn't sit on the Wi-Fi, and then you could carry your iPad around and make it easy. The key is, if you're going to do that, don't ever use that iPad for anything else. So it's not for surfing the internet or having fun or logging into your favorite news program or whatever. You don't ever use it for anything other than reviews. You just simply have it with you. And when you're closing out your cases, you have that conversation like we described and say, look, I'm going to go grab your check and your paperwork. Would you do me a favor and leave us a quick online review? And by the way, if you do that, the iPad should have one of those cases with a typewriter, right, to make it easier for these people to type the reviews in. But, that's an easy strategy for you to set up in a very low budget. All right. From a social media perspective, I think it's important to know that our take is you should create high-quality content for your website, and then every piece of high-quality content should get social media love on a quarterly basis. That's web pages, videos, blog posts, definitive guide, eBooks, mobile apps, everything that you create should get social media love each quarter. All right, and the other thing we're going to talk a little bit more about, but like one way to optimize your performance in the local pin map section on Google is to continuously update that local listing on a daily basis. So you want to, add your content to that local listing, and you'll get a lot more love that way. All right, so from a technical SEO perspective, And search engine optimization, again, is the science of, helping your website get found when people search on, say, Google, using a term that matters to you. For example, Tampa bus accident lawyer or whatever. This example, we're looking at Las Vegas dog bite. All right, so a Las Vegas dog bite attorney. You could see in here a couple things. First of all, if you're going to do this yourself, you want to make sure if you have a WordPress website, that use a plugin on the website called Yoast. All right, it makes it easy for you to get the technical SEO done more correctly. Okay, but essentially, from a high level, your web page title, your SEO title, your URL, which isn't in here, and your H1 tag should all be identical, right? Should all include the keyword that you're targeting, and then you should only have one H1 tag, right? And then you can have multiple H2s and so on. And then you want to write. So I think the most important piece, even though Google doesn't necessarily put your SEO description into the SEO listing, right? You want to write a really engaging SEO description, right? And you want to include the keyword that you're targeting here inside of your description. But most importantly, make sure it's readable and enticing, and that'll help get people to click on your listing. And again, one of the other things that's not on here is you want to work those 5 stars into your listings, but that's done with schema markup, and that's a whole other conversation. But you want to use schema markup as much as you possibly can, and you probably need somebody to do this effectively for you. But there are different apps that you can use if you wanted to learn it on your own, and you wanted a way for you to I won't say automate, but like give you a little bit of structure and make it a little bit easier. Then you could use something like Schema app to create your schema markup. But it's critically important. Google's take on this is they want you to use schema markup as much as you possibly can. That's on all of your content. All right. From a links perspective, not to go in reverse order here, but you want to have a minimum of 1 internal and 1 external link. And you want to have images. You got to have a featured image so that when you do your social media updates, it presents an image that's relevant to that page in all text. All right, so this is kind of a high-level overview of what on-site SEO needs to have. It's not that complicated, although it is time-consuming, right? So if you have any questions regarding SEO, you can let me know, and I'll answer any questions that you have. There's 2 options, obviously, for you. You could use a service that'll do it all for you, or you could build out your SEO yourself. So you could create your content and then create all this on-page SEO. Once you create your content, like people are always asking me, what do you think about inbound link development, right? So inbound link development is getting links from other web properties to yours for the benefit of improving your authority. My take on this is clear. I think Google's position on links is becoming less and less relevant as we move through in time. They're much more concerned with how much high quality content you have on your website than how many inbound links you're developing in all these weird places, right? One caveat to that is if you do local community outreach, this is a great way for you to develop inbound links. If you develop the content, then you reach out to these organizations. And if you sponsor the organizations, they'll give you a link back to your website as well as to your content. And this is how it might work. So you basically, for example, let's say you create a motorcycle education series. It's an ebook and video series. And you go to the Blue Knights, which is basically like police officers and military, retired military that are in this motorcycle club. So it's a nightclub. Anyways, you sponsor the organization and you give them, anywhere from say $250 to $500 a year would be the target. You can go a little higher on some of these organizations, but let's say $500, and then you sponsor them for the entire year. So you're their go-to personal injury attorney for motorcycle wrecks for their members. And you say, look, I just want to make sure you're aware we create all these great educational resources. If you feel like sending out a social media update letting people know, or maybe a blog post about this, or if you let people know at your meetings that these resources are available. So God forbid anybody gets in a motorcycle wreck, they understand what to do and most importantly what not to do, right? So you can drive, obviously a link back to your website, but you're getting high quality traffic, and it's a really good community outreach type program. All right, so I just laid this whole process out. It's pretty simple. Create the content, then find organizations that are relevant, right? So motorcycle clubs, bike clubs, if you create a bicycle accident injury guide and resources, that's a good one. Car clubs, and so on. Okay. All right, so one thing that's important that I think a lot of people sort of screw up, and this is something that you can fix quickly and on a very low budget, is local directory citations and data aggregators, right? So basically, you want to make sure that your information is consistent across the board on all of these sites, okay? So these are the sites that we think are critically important. Okay. All right, so from an optimization perspective, again, consistent information across the board. You want to get online reviews. So Google reviews are critically important, right? So you want to be driving that activity and getting as many Google reviews as possible. Also, when someone writes a Google review for you, you should try to comment. Thank them for the good ones, and for the bad ones, God forbid, you want to use it as a learning experience. People are always trying to, we can, get them manually removed. But if you have a bad experience, I think, if you can't get it removed, and the way you get it removed, by the way, is if they break the rules. Let's say they swear, they use other different things in their review that, against the review policies, then you can have them literally removed within a day. If they don't, though, you should reach out and say, look, we strive to make sure that we provide the highest quality legal services available, and that people get the, walk away, feeling as though we've given them the best possible support possible. And we're sorry that you had a bad experience. I would like you to reach out to me, so that I can help fix this situation and make you feel better. Please contact me, and then provide your contact information. So people are looking for how you interact with your people online. And, it's not uncommon for you to get, for people sometimes to get bad reviews. It's just, you should handle them and reach out to those folks and try to demonstrate how you would go about correcting that situation. And obviously, the best defense is a strong offense, so you want to get as many, good reviews as possible. So when you get a good result as you're closing these people out, make sure that you're capturing positive reviews. That's the best time. As you're, signing the final paperwork and you're giving them their checks, you want to gather those reviews because they're going to be the happiest on those days. We talked a little bit about why it's important to update that content. So daily, right? We think it's important to be adding photos, videos, and other written content to your listings. This is especially important with Google, right? So, if you have any questions about that, we have a video on how to do all that. You can just email me and I'll send it over to you. All right, so now with web analytics and lead tracking, this is important because, again, you want to know with 100% certainty where all of your cases are coming from. So one of the easiest ways to get that started is with dynamic call tracking. So, we use a service, and we recommend a service called Call Tracking Metrics. With Call Tracking Metrics, you just put a little code on your website, and you basically purchase the numbers that you want to track, right? So we think it's important that you track as granularly as possible. We use, just to give you an idea. So Google My Business, Google Organic, and Google Ads all get different phone numbers. And being local, being organic, again, a different phone number. And the way that the phone number rotates on the website is when someone comes from, say, Google Organic, that's the number that appears when they see your website. You should not be worried about, like, I know a lot of people have vanity numbers and they try to hope that people are going to memorize their phone numbers. I'll just tell you, when people are searching online, for example, for a motorcycle crash attorney in your area, they don't know you and they don't know your phone number, right? It's much more intelligent for you to know where those people came from than for you to try to get other people to memorize your phone numbers and then not know where they came from, right? So this is super inexpensive. Again, it's easy to set up. It's just a little bit of code that you can put on the website. You know, we would recommend that you do it with Google Tag Manager. So this is where we put all these little codes in, like live chat and call tracking, and it's how we're able to add these resources to your website quickly. But with Google Tag Manager again and a little bit of call tracking code, you'll start to get intelligent reporting. So, and people, you know, part of the process is you get an email sent to you where you literally can listen to all the calls that are coming to your office, and you can track which ones are good and which ones are not so good. But you get other good metrics like how many phone calls you're getting on a monthly basis or weekly basis or daily or whatever, right? And then you could do look backs and say, okay, this month I got, say, 100 phone calls from the internet. What did I do last year this time? And so on, right? So you want that in place so you can track how well your website's performing from a call perspective. Again, you also want to set up Google Analytics. This is critically important, so you can see where people are landing. And the other thing you want to do in Google Analytics is your goal conversions, right? So goal conversion tracking is counting all the different conversion goals that you think are important. So basically anything on your website that you would want someone to do, you want to track, and you do that with goal conversions. So all phone calls, all online live chats, all online form submission, all email nurturing subscribers, and so on are all tracked inside of your goal conversion. So you have nice reporting. Again, you can look at those reports on a daily, weekly, monthly, or custom look. But you want that in place so that you get a really good understanding of, I think most importantly, what pages are driving your traffic, you know, causing the traffic to land on your website initially, and then your goal conversion tracking, I think, are the most important. Very easy to set up though with just a little bit of knowledge. All right, so now we're going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to get into video production. Lee, how much time do we have?
You have about 9 minutes. I have one question so far.
Okay, cool. Okay, do you want to give it to me now?
Of course. This question is, how much does a firm like yours help in the creation and content of blog posts / guides versus how much of this is from the attorney law firm itself?
Right, so there's two options. Our Accelerate Now Law Firm Marketing does all that as a service as part of our SEO package, right? We handle everything kind of soup to nuts. It includes the websites and everything, you know, like, so our SEO clients get a new website, mobile apps, live chat, video production, eBooks, all that SEO that's included in a strong SEO and content marketing program, including all the conversion tracking and return on investment reporting and so on. So it's a comprehensive solution. You could do it that way, or you could do it yourself internally. Again, it just requires a little bit of learning. We're going to teach, our next course is going to be on video production, content creation, and publishing. That's on December 19th. And then the third course is trial lawyer website lead tracking and reporting on January 9th. And then we're going to talk about Google AdWords and Google Ads for trial lawyers on January 23rd. And those are deeper dives for folks that want to do it themselves. So the answer is, I guess, you could do it yourself, or you could utilize a firm like ours, or like Fine Law, Scorpion, all these other folks. But I will say this, you want to focus on a provider that has a lot of experience with trial lawyers. I think you don't want a web designer from down the street that does everybody. And you want to get committed or be partnered with a firm that's going to be committed to creating as much educational content as possible, right? So if people are limiting you from the get-go on how much content they're going to create for you, then I think you should continue your search. because your performance today and into the future is going to be solely based on how much high quality content you create, right? How much educational content. So if people are limiting how many videos they're going to produce for you, and just to give you an idea, we do unlimited HD video production with all of our SEO clients, unlimited guides, unlimited mobile apps, and so on. That's the type of approach I think you want to take. And if someone says, look, I think you only need 10 videos, then I think you're not going to get the same results, right? So make sure that you work with someone, again, that has trial lawyer experience and someone that's going to produce a ton of high quality content for you. All right, so let's talk real quick about how to structure a good video answer. I know we're running out of time here. And then we'll do a role play. So once you identify the questions, which we'll hopefully get to, but again, just email me if you want to get to the question list, get the question list sent out to you. What you want to do is you want to take the question and convert the question into a statement and tell a little bit of a story, right? And then give the answer like you normally do in the office. So if the question is, okay, how long, I was seriously injured in a car crash. How long is it going to take me to resolve this matter, right? You want to turn the question into a statement and say, the other day I got a phone call from someone that was seriously injured in a car crash, and they're really worried, right? Because they couldn't work any, and they were worried about how long it was going to take or what the average time frame is to resolve a car crash claim in the state of Florida, or your area, by the way. So your local city geography. The key to this answer, by the way, is if it's complicated, like this answer is complicated, and I'm going to have Betsy answer it in a second. You want to tell them why it's complicated. A bad answer would be like, you know what, this is a complicated question. I want you to call my office right away. A good answer would be, I got a call the other day. The person was worried about how long it was going to take to resolve their case, and wanted to know, on average, how long does it take to resolve a matter like this? And you need to tell them, look, this is complicated, and then tell them why it's complicated. And then you can tell them, look, if you have any questions, contact me. I'd love to help you. Betsy, do you want to try that real quick?
Sure.
I'll ask you. All right, so Betsy, one of my biggest concerns with my case is how long it's going to take to resolve. Right now, I'm not able to work. So how long is it going to take me to get, to the finish line on my car accident claim?
Well, that's a very good question. And for example, last month, I had 2 clients that were almost polar opposite. So one of the things that you have to think about are individual considerations. So in your case, we don't really know a lot yet about your injuries because you're just starting out. We also don't know about the coverage that the at-fault party has. And those are 2 factors that can make a big difference. In the 2 cases that I mentioned to you earlier, we had 2 people who both had severe injuries. One who had coverage from the at-fault party that was limited. And so the insurance company paid that limit right away. It took much less time than we thought it would, but because the coverage was limited. In the other case, it was a trucking case, and there was $750,000 in coverage. There were severe injuries, and that case took a year to resolve. So the short answer is that it just depends on factors unique to your case, which I'd like to talk with you more about.
Perfect. Thank you, Betsy. So you can see it's very easy for you to create good answers just by taking this formula, if you will. So you convert the statement or the question into a statement, tell a little bit of a story, and then you tell them what's important for them to be considering regarding their case or what they need to know about that specific type of issue. And then you just go through this process in a question and answer format. And you can create a lot of high quality content in one video shoot. Like Betsy mentioned, she shot well over 45 videos inside of 45 minutes, maybe a little bit, maybe like an hour, because the videos are short. People always have the question too, by the way, how long should my video be, right? Isn't shorter better? And the answer, I think, is whatever you would normally say in the office is the answer. So if it takes 2 or 3 minutes to set up the answer and give a good full answer in your office, then the video should be 2 or 3 minutes, and you should give it just the way you give it in the office. All right. So now, with regard to video, the next thing that you need to consider is what questions you should be asking during the video shoots, right? So we call it content mixing. Basically, what you want to do is you want to identify all of the practice areas you support. So, medical malpractice, car accidents, truck accidents, slip and fall, and if you do other practice areas, criminal offense, whatever, all the main practice areas that you want to support as a law firm, you basically want to create educational content for each of those. So start out by listing every major practice area, and then all the legal issues inside those practice areas. And then if you do this yourself, right, the easiest way to do this is to think about your consultations, right? What are the questions that folks ask when they come into your office for the very first time, right? They have this issue, and what are the common questions that you hear on those legal issues? And you write those questions down. Or what are the points that you bring up that the customer doesn't even know to think about, right? And that'll give you a long list of questions. And when you're doing this, I don't want you to think about the answer so much. It's just listing the questions, so that when you're doing your video shoot, you just you answer the questions just like you've done 1,000 times before, and you can really get a lot of high quality content quickly in a very natural way. So there's no need for teleprompters or scripts or memorization. The best process is to just answer naturally as if you're talking to a client inside your office. But if you do this process, you're able to see quickly where your video and your blog opportunities are. But as a good starter, identify maybe 10, 15 questions per major practice area or legal issue, and you'll be on your way to having some really good content and blog content and video content. All right, so here's some sample motorcycle claim injury opportunities. You can take a quick look here.
You're about to be out of time there, Sean.
All right. So I have prepared questions for all these other areas. It's hard, to cover all this material in one session, but I'd be happy if you email me, I'd be happy to send you the video questions, or if you want the video equipment list, I'll send those on the way as well. Let me just get back here so you have it. Okay, cool. So there's my contact information and Betsy's contact information. Like I said, if you want any of this information emailed to you, or if you have any questions at all. Lee, do we have any other questions?
We don't have any more questions. Thank you so much, Sean and Betsy. You did a great job, and keep an eye out for emails, because he is going to have a 3-part series where we go into depth with these issues, and you'll all want to join.
Thank you, Lee. Thanks everybody for joining us today.